Mr. Paul Jones, entrepreneur. Okay, thank you.
Okay, one of the things that you need to do is love what you're doing. It's really, really important for success. And find your passion. Okay, this is Steve Jobs. You got to love what you do. It's the most important thing. This is my first business, Paul's Polished Pebbles. And I started picking up stones on the beach, putting nail polish on them. Eventually, I made enough money to buy a machine to do it. From there, I had got a job in a lumber yard, in a hardware store, and I ran that. And I became interested in making things out of wood. So basically, making things out of nothing. And this is my first factory. I used to make oval picture frames out of one piece of wood. Basically take something that's practically worthless and turn it into something worth something. So this is some more pictures from my factory. I used to be skinny and I had hair, and those are my brothers. This is my first corporate job. Actually, I didn't really have a job after that. That was my last job too. I worked for a hardware company in New York City, and I learned about tools and hardware. It was like the next step up, but I was actually 19 years old and assistant vice president for a 500-person company. And anyway, I destroyed their dress code because when they hired me, they told me I needed to wear a tie, and I told them I'm not going to do that. And so anyway, they made an exception, and by the time I got done, the dress code was destroyed in the company. Now, from this company, one time I wanted to go on vacation. I got 2 weeks vacation every year, and I wanted to go on vacation to Haiti to do some missionary work. And my company said that's not a good idea because, you know, there's poor people down there and you're going to get sick, and, you know, and I think they were a little prejudiced too. But anyway, I quit my job. Me, actually, the first time I went there, helping to build a church. This is also skinny me here in front of a grass hut. It's when I really discovered my passion to help people. And I went back for many years after that. I went back for like 6 years, from being 19 to 25 years old. Every year, build a church, a school, a clinic, and an orphanage. This is my first big success. After I came back from Haiti, after I quit my job, I ran into a guy who bought a bankrupt hardware company, not because he wanted the company, but because he wanted to move his other company into the building, and he was an entrepreneur. Anyway, I wasn't really looking for a job, but I met him, and basically, what turned out to be a job, he hired me. Within a very short period of time, I owned a third of the company. And it turned into this. I had 7 stores and 3 wholesale companies and a laboratory supply. It just grew into a lot of things. And it all happened from something bad that happened to me. My car broke down. And also my company was doing terribly because we were selling to the government and they were paying their bills in 90 days, but we had to pay our supplier in 30 days. So anyway, my car broke down, and so I pushed it out to the main road and I put a sign on top and it said, "Tool Warehouse" with an arrow. Something amazing happened. At lunchtime, my parking lot filled up with people wanting to pay cash for tools. And it just totally changed my business. So a lot of times in my life, when something bad happens, it ends up turning into something good. So along the way, I had a lot of success, but eventually I made a big mistake. First, I was offered to buy the whole industrial park, which I literally changed into a retail shopping center over the time I was there. And it was $2 million, and I thought, wow, that's so much money. And anyway, I didn't buy it. So somebody else bought it, and I think they paid about $10 million for it. And then they sold it to Home Depot for about $40 million. And then Home Depot made me move because they were going to knock down all the buildings. So all my customers were used to coming to that spot, and I had to be like at the entrance to Home Depot in a much smaller store. Anyway, it was the beginning of the end for my business. I ended up not having fun, and whenever I don't have fun, I end up getting out of it. And I sold it, but eventually I didn't even get paid when I sold it to the people. They made a few payments and then they quit. So along the way, I also started to get involved in real estate because I made that mistake. I said, I'm not going to let that happen again. And I had a friend who was collecting stamps, and I used to make fun of him. So I said, okay, I found out you could buy a post office. So I bought my first post office. And it was like at the end of the lease, it was expiring, and I thought, this is worth a lot more than that. So I doubled or tripled the rent to the government. And then I bought it after I already negotiated the new lease. And then I did that a second time. And it was kind of a lot of fun to get started like that in real estate. Okay, after my tool business went down, I had invested in some business. Well, here we go. I bought some buildings in upstate New York, and what I did was I tried to make it an incubator for other people. I thought, if I buy these buildings and I help people get in business, then they're going to pay me rent after like a year of their free rent. Well, it didn't work like that. They would go out of business after a year. So they were happy to take my free space, but when it came time to actually pay, it didn't work. So when my tool business, I sold it and then I lost a lot of money, I decided, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to open a business in my own building, and I'm going to pay money from one pocket to the other, so I can pay my own rent and I can pay the bank that has the mortgage on the building. Anyway, so I moved there and I started a direct marketing business. The first 2 years, all I did was spend time looking to find investors. And I wasn't able to find any investors, and it was really, really tough. I used to write books about financial things. And once I started to focus on what the customers wanted, what I did is, instead of selling the book, I created a membership organization, because people would buy my book and they really didn't want to do what the book told them to do. They wanted a simpler solution. So what I did is I changed it into a membership organization, and we had this card that they become a member, and then they would get my books, and they would get access to a lot of benefits. Now, they would pay an annual fee to us, $48, and then we would refer people to other financial service companies that also paid us a commission. So it worked out really well, and many, many people loved the service, and instead of just selling a book one time, every year we updated it and they renewed it and got another book. And so it worked out pretty good. So anyway, business started to get really good, and I started investing in more real estate around that area. I bought several department stores and a bank, and eventually I had plans for renovation of the buildings, big plans. I thought I was going to be a big guy like Donald Trump. Anyway, something bad happened to me. Does anybody know what eminent domain is? Well, it's where the government can take away your property. And you don't think it can happen in America, but it happened to me. And Donald Trump thinks it's wonderful, and so do the people who ended up getting my building. Because what happens is the government takes it away, and then it goes through like some nonprofit, and it ends up in private hands from people who make a lot of money. So there's a lot of that kind of abuse in the U.S., and it's one of the things that sort of pushed me over the edge, and I ended up in Bangkok because I was so angry that I thought, I'm going to go try something else. I went on a vacation. Here's some of the buildings that I owned, and anyway, they took them away. They actually even knocked down half of my building before they even owned it. And so I sued the government. It's a big mistake. Don't do that. Okay? Because when you do that, like, they have unlimited resources. And anyway, I was young and stupid at the time. So 17 years later, this is what it looks like. They won. I ended up getting paid $60,000 for one building, and the rest of them I just sort of let them have because it was ongoing lawsuits and many, many crazy things. Okay, so anyway, the only real failure is not keep going, so I kept going. And I ended up taking a vacation. Okay, I went and in 2000, I got on a plane and I went to Hong Kong, China, and Bangkok. And I stayed for about 2 weeks in Bangkok. Now, while I was there, one of my things that I used to write a lot of these financial books, and I started getting into writing books about health things, like how to get free and low-cost prescription drugs, how to get free and low-cost medical care, that type of thing. And I tried to use one as a promotion, and it really didn't work that well. But when I went to Bangkok, I saw that I had like 10,000 of these books in my warehouse, and they weren't doing anything. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do an experiment and send a press release while I'm in Bangkok. So what I did is, in my hotel, every day I had dial-up service. I would dial up, and I had something called, I think it was faxblaster.com, and I would send these press releases to local and daily newspapers. And basically, the people at the newspapers are really lazy. So if you send a one-page press release, what they do is pretty much copy it word for word. And at the end of my press release, it says, send $5 to cover the printing, postage, and handling. So what happened when I got back home to New York, well, actually it was in Washington, D.C. at that time, is where I was having the mail sent, because it sounds even more believable, and it's all stuff that's like coordinated by the government, but they're not really good about telling people how to access the stuff. So when I got home, the guy who was opening my mail and filling the orders handed me $15,000. So a light went off in my head, and I thought, I had a good time in Bangkok. I think I'm going to move my company there. And, all my employees thought I was crazy. But anyway, we ended up closing down the office and letting everybody work from home. And I went over to Bangkok to try to put my company on the internet, because we used to do direct mail. Okay? Along the way, we had a lot of success. We did Google AdWords and things like that. But I came up with some really great promotions. And one of my most successful things was when I did a promotion for a laptop giveaway. It was a laptop for kids. Now, of course, most people don't want a laptop for kids, but they will sign up and they will tell you everything that they want. And that's a way to make money. When people tell you what they want and you give them what they need, you can make some money. It was the most successful promotion of my life and allowed me to retire in 2010. Okay, in 2011 and 12, I did another promotion from China, trying to broaden this concept, and it was a small promotion, and it ended up I had a problem with the logistics on some of the stuff, so I canceled it. But actually now I got that all resolved, and I'm here in Kuala Lumpur, and hopefully by next year we're going to launch a similar program. Okay, so along the way, when people sign up for something, they tell you a lot of information. And you can see from this graph, this is from my AdSense account. Now along the way, I'm making a little bit of money, and this was not the main part of my business. But when you get traffic, you can, in this particular case, I'm making like $800 a day just from the little ads on the side of the thing. And this is about, the affiliate marketing. This is, one of these things has like 680,000 people that landed on the page, and 194,000 people signed up. And every time you do something on the internet, someone is getting paid from either a click or a sign up. In this particular case, I was getting paid, I think, 85 cents per lead, came out to 37 cents per click, about $250,000. And I had a lot of people working for me, but it's really, it was a pretty amazing time. You can still do it, but it's not that easy anymore. Okay, so in 2010, my litigation from New York was still going on, and it was frustrating me, and my business was getting more difficult. Emailing was getting more difficult, so I decided to just take it easy and go to China. This is a picture of the Huachang Bay area, which is where all the electronics is. And I realized that I could sell things I could give them away for free and charge for the shipping and get people to sign up and create mailing lists and ask people what they wanted. And when you ask them what they want and you give them what they need, you can make some money and you can help a lot of people, especially if you're giving things away for free. Okay, so along the way I developed some things. Back in 2001, I was the creator of probably the first gift card that I know of that was in the US, and I did many promotions that worked out really well. So when I went to China, my mission was to find the logistics to be able to deliver products directly from China, charge a small shipping fee, and give away the product for free. One Valentine's Day, we gave away packages like this, and people paid $20 for FedEx, and we delivered these packages. They look beautiful. We had many people try to buy over and over again. Anyway, this is one of the promotions that we were pretty successful. Here's where I figured out the logistics in China, and shipping directly from China to the U.S. is actually much cheaper than shipping from the U.S. to the U.S. The problem is I ended up canceling the promotion because I put one of the shipments for 150 packages, I put it in a cardboard box instead of a cloth bag. And the stuff got lost. And we only found out afterwards that they thought the box broke open, so they put it on the shelf for 3 months. And meanwhile, I canceled the whole promotion because I thought I can't take money from people if the packages can't get delivered. So that's some of the problems that you have, like in China with the internet, and sometimes the logistics and communications is really tough. So in China, I have a passion to help people. I wasn't there really to make money. I made a lot of money, and I just wanted to kind of relax. And I went there just to get to know people. So this is one product that I helped the company develop, which I knew the cloud was coming. And because the cloud was coming, you didn't really have to have a memory chip that had a lot of memory. So I got them to develop this card. It was actually going to be for my gift card program, but it was too thick and ugly. And after 4 years, they developed this into their best-selling product. Along the way, I met some people that were selling underwear. And the way I met them is when I decided to close down my telemarketing operation in the Philippines. I wanted to make sure that everybody had a job or some business that they were in. And there was one guy who happened to be my first employee, and he didn't really have direction. So when I was in Bangkok, I picked up a bunch of men's underwear, colorful stuff that they sell on the street, and I brought it there, and I said, hey, put this on Facebook and see if you can sell it. So in about a week, he sold like 50 pairs, and so then he's asking me to buy more. So I wasn't in Bangkok, I was in China, and it really comes from China anyhow. So I ran into these people that were selling it, and they were selling like Paul Smith underwear and other things. Of course, they were not authorized copies. One day they had some problem, and eBay said, you know, we're going to shut your account if you can't prove that it's real. So I just happened to say, why don't you call it Paul Jones? And they said, oh, will you let me? And I said, sure, why not? Let's try it. I never expected it to become a success. But anyway, at this point, it's a whole clothing line. It's being sold like in 80 countries. And because of that, they look at me like I'm some kind of fashion expert. But look at me. I'm not. Now, this is something that I'm working on, and it's sort of a nonprofit type thing, but I really want to help people. And I've been inspired by a company called Modest Needs. And what they do is people put their story up and say they have some kind of hardship or whatever, and they need to raise money and so forth. But the way my Laptop for Kids program worked is I was actually giving away an actual thing. So what happens is they post something like this here. This lady needs a washing machine. So I had the idea, why not give away actual stuff that people have that they want to get rid of to people who need it, and create some kind of a platform to do that. So I came up with this Grant Pal idea actually in 2008 when I was doing the kids' laptop, and I haven't gotten to do it yet, but basically it'll reduce waste, help people in need, ease the burden on the landfill, etc. And yesterday I went to see if my idea is still valid. And these are things that were available just in the Chicago area that can be given away to people for free. And many people spend money on this kind of stuff. Hopefully I've inspired some of you. When I inspire people, that's something that money can't buy, and that's really what I do things for, not necessarily the money. I like to make money, but inspiration of other people and watching people lift themselves up and is really what makes me feel very, very good. Thank you.